Good morning, y'all. Welcome back to the channel. This is Leo, the Lioness Queen. If you happen to like what you see on this channel, please make sure to click that subscribe button and also like the video and stand by. I'll be right back, guys. And excuse the background noise, okay? I got kids with an S here, okay? So you might hear them. They're up. They done had their breakfast, they little special breakfast request or whatever, even though I remember. Well, no, I ain't going to say that. I'm gonna only say that when I was like over my cousin in them house, I was made to eat whatever they fixed. My parents actually did give me options, so I'm not gonna say the thing as far as kids back in the day, even though that's how I was majority of the time. You ate whatever the hell was there. But I actually give my child options. I asked him every night what would he like me to fix him for breakfast. Yes, even with my busy schedule, I fix my child breakfast every day. My nephew happens to be here as well. He spent the night, so he got his special request as well. But anyway, stand by. All right, welcome back, welcome back. Hey, Shauna Caramel. Hey, Scarlett. Oh, hell no, baby mama, Joy Love, Mimi126, Lan T, Miss Blackberry. Yes, good morning. And a special shout out to all of the Capricorns who are celebrating birthdays on today. Your time will be winding down actually in just 2 days. So it will be time for the Aquarians to come marching in or whatever. I love Aquarius. I know we have a few Aquarians within the elements, and my brother happens to be an Aquarian. So, yes, I love you guys very, very much. I was planning on coming live yesterday, but again, I had, you know, my nephew here, even though him and Melvin really do well together and stuff. Okay, so they play really good, and it was all good. So I just went on ahead and catered to them. Hey, Kimberly Black, made sure they had their pizza and they snacks and they peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and all types of stuff. So I was tied up yesterday, okay, but they played really good. Melvin is a really good big cousin. You know, he's older, more mature. So they don't fight like they used to anymore. He's way more patient, okay? But everything was all good. I did have him in the bed early or whatever. They both went to sleep, and I sat up and was reading. Okay, guys. The musical tea. Let me tell y'all about that, okay? And even though I enjoy doing a musical tea, I'm gonna tell y'all why they stopped being so frequent, because of the fact that it's like once you start researching a lot of that stuff, it goes down into a huge um rabbit hole, because I be wanting to know everything. Okay, so I read a whole bunch of stuff. Good morning, Johnny Max, sir. And guys, make sure that you support Johnny Max's new single. It dropped yesterday. Go on my timeline because I did share it, and also go on Johnny Max timeline to make sure that you support his new single on all streaming platforms. But yeah, I went down a rabbit hole. I've read 3 books so far. So when the musical teas actually do start, they're going to be in a lot of different parts, especially dealing with the DeBarge family, because it's a lot. What I am currently reading now is Tommy's book, There'll Never Be, by Thomas DeBarge. Y'all know he passed. I believe it was in November he passed or whatever, but he recently passed away. But out of all the books that have been written, everybody was saying that his was the best. Okay. So I think I got to start chapter 5. I actually did record myself reading the first 4 chapters. I'm a little afraid to put it out because I don't know how my voice is going to sound. But I may go ahead and just put it out and just let y'all be honest with me whether or not I should continue to read it or whatever and stuff. If you guys like the first 4 chapters on how I read it, I'll go ahead and continue to read it. Sometimes I'll put out pre-recorded videos or I will do it live. It'll be a mixture in between, but don't tear me up too bad when it comes to the first 4 chapters. I had to get used to being in the groove of reading because I done got spoiled with audiobooks. I'm not gonna lie, because that's how I read Bunny's 2 books. Her 2 books were neither one of them were on Audible, but Alexa is able to read from Kindle. Then one of his ex-wives or wives or whatever, which I didn't even hear about her because I know he was married a couple of times. I know his first wife, Ducky, which I end up going into a rabbit hole about that. Now, Bunny spoke about Ducky in her books, and she was saying that, Ducky was really in love with him. And Bobby didn't too much like Ducky, which was the older brother. He didn't too much like Ducky because he felt like she was a pushover. But she was so in love with Tommy, and she was with him for a lot of years, but stuff ended up going really bad once. He was on drugs, of course, during the time that they were together. And then eventually she ended up falling into drugs, and she actually ended up being murdered. Her murder is still unsolved as of late. I think the latest thing they put out about her murder was in 2017 that her family was still looking for answers. I believe she was 36 at the time or whatever, because she just got tired of everything, and she left. And so they found her skeletal remains. I believe it was in Miami or whatever, and everybody claiming they don't know what happened. The mother is saying one thing, and then I think one of the brothers is saying something else. I do not know. I know Chico DeBarge was saying that he had a close relationship with her. He was saying, I think he said she just died of drugs, but regardless, her skeletal remains were found. So this goes very, very deep or whatever, but I do believe he talks about her in his book, even though he ended up being married, I believe, 2 times after that. But again, this wife that I don't know anything about, she put out a book in October. So I got to read her book after this. I also read Gregory Williams' book. I think it's called Switch, DeBarge, Motown, and Me. He was the founder of Switch. He the one that came up with the band, even though you read a lot of articles saying that Bobby is the one that came, Bobby and Tommy, but that's not the truth. Greg is the one who put the band together. So technically, he is the one that put the band together. So he also wrote a book about his experience because he went to high school with Tommy. So they had known each other for a very long time. He also spoke about the mother, talking about how the mother just was very passive when it came to a lot of stuff. And that's pretty much everybody's opinion when it come to her. She wrote a book, but for some reason her book is no longer in print. So I've been trying to search down her book, but pretty much what people were saying about her book was that, she didn't really try to talk about all the abuse that went on, that she allowed to go on pretty much. Okay. So, like I said, a lot of it's going to take a while when it comes to this or whatever. Yes. And then, everybody was, because when I was talking to my mom the other day, she told me about the DeBarge story. I had never seen the DeBarge story. But when I actually watched it the other day, I think I watched it Saturday, it was trash. It was complete trash. And it definitely was complete trash. And I can tell that it was written from Bobby's wife point of view, because it was just like, I had already read a few books. So even the way she did it, it was very unrealistic. It did not share everything it needed to share. It was not an accurate portrait, in my opinion. And even his mother came out and spoke against it and was like, no. So yeah, that movie was trash. So that's why I'm like, when everybody was referring to the Bobby DeBarge, I'm like, they didn't tell you nothing compared to what really, really went on. Okay. So these are the notes that I did get so far. concerning the father, because I was interested in the father, as far as like just how he grew up. And we was ended up, yes, it was. So this is the notes that I got from Bunny's book. Like, we all know he was abusive. We all know that, you know, he did things that was inappropriate. But he was born Robert DeBarge Sr. He was a French descent. He was born in Illinois. His mother, which I thought was very interesting, his mother was known to have a very domineering personality. She was very controlling. So to me, that explained why he probably had such the attitude he had towards women, because he despised the fact that his mother was so domineering. Like, she ran the household, and his father pretty much went along with the program or whatever. And so I think he was the sixth born, because his mother ended up having, I believe, 12 children, even though I think she had been pregnant 19 times or whatever. Well, no. Yes, his mother ended up being pregnant 19 times, but 12 of them survived or whatever. And he was the sixth that was born. He had a little sister that died, and his mother blamed him for her death because he was supposed to be watching her. I think they were in a shed or something like that. And the little sister ended up eating some rat poisoning and she died. So he really blamed himself for that. And like I said, the mother really blamed him for that. So then at 19, his father used to work the night shift. He left him to be in charge. Robert Sr. went out drinking instead. And when he got back home, he ended up catching his mother in the bed with another man. Okay, so that scarred him as well. So what ended up happening was he was so upset from catching her in the bed with another man while his father was at work, that he ended up going back to the bar, getting drunk, and he tried to commit suicide. He basically got in his vehicle, ran into a ravine or something like that, and he ended up surviving, but he was really messed up. And so he ended up getting a steel plate in his head. He ended up having to get a steel plate in his head. He was very close to his father, and you know, his family was wealthy or whatever. And when he ended up meeting Ederline, which ended up becoming his wife, the mother and the family pretty much was against it or whatever, except the father. The father would have been cool with it, but the mother, you know, she was very racist. And at the end of the day, it was the early 50s. This was before the civil rights movement or anything like that. So, you know, they still had separate fountains. They still went to segregated schools. So for them to even be together was very much a taboo. So the mother ended up having only one conversation with the mother. And the mother basically was like, I don't necessarily have a problem with niggers, but I don't want you with my son. And so how they had it set up in the family, which is something normal, they had it to where, you know, if their children got married and went off, they would get a house, they would get a car, you know, they would, like most white people do, let's be honest, set their kids up. They don't just kick them out the motherfucking house. Well, it was a difference when it came to him, because he, you know, the thing with him was his mother wanted him to marry somebody white. I think he had a high school sweetheart or something at the time. And so because he chose to rebel against his mother and marry Ederline, he pretty much lost everything, his family, everything. The kids, I think only one, Thomas met like one of his uncles when he was grown, and the uncle was on his deathbed or whatever. But other than that, the family never had anything to do with any of them. The mother ended up calling Bunny when Bunny was grown and married, and she was pretty much just calling, saying that she wanted to get in touch with her son. And, you know, she didn't want to talk to Bunny. She didn't want to get to know. She was very matter of fact, you know, was like, I know how many kids, you know, they end up having or whatever, but I need you to get this certain message to your father. She didn't want to get to know Bunny or anything like that. So he pretty much ended up losing his family on the account of that, you know, versus Ederling, she came from a poor family, but they were a very loving family. Like her parents also had a lot of kids as well, and she was a twin. She came from the church. They were very heavy in church. They went to Pentecostal church, and she was even a part of a singing group because everybody in her family could sing, I think, except the mother. But she learned all of her songs from her granddad or whatever was the singer. So they had the grandfather was the pastor of the Bethlehem Temple Church here or whatever. Yes, my 2 cents. So yeah, she came from a musical family. They grew up in the Brewster Projects. It was a whole bunch of them, so they were able to get 2 homes within the Brewster Projects. All the brothers stayed in one house, all the sisters stayed in another house, but they were a close-knit family. And I can say from what I read inside Bunny's book, the family, her brother and her twin sister really did try to step in and try to help save them kids. But Ederling was just so caught up in being with her husband, also with her being so heavy in the church. And that's why I say when it comes to church, and I know some people, well, this going to end up turning into a musical tea. So I'm going to end up changing the title or whatever. But I was thinking yesterday, I said, the Black church has been very important within our history, but I feel like it has also been a detriment, especially when it comes to Black women. I feel like church has held a lot of Black women in particular in bondage. I know some of y'all church people is probably gonna feel like I'm wrong for that, but I have seen it myself, even within my family church. Okay, it has been a lot that I have seen. It's a lot that people allow to go on because of their beliefs. And a lot of times women are not safe. I've seen it to where one of the members may have been with a particular their husband for a long period of time. They done pumped them up with a whole bunch of children, and then it turns abusive. The woman goes to the church to try to let her know, let the church know what's going on. That's the safety net. And then they will turn around and let the abusive man, right back into the church. I've seen it happen several times. That is also what happened when it came to Miss Ederling. The father ended up, kind of coming into the church, because when she did leave him one time, she went and let the pastor know what was going on with the daddy ending up sexually abusing Bunny or whatever. He started sexually abusing her when she was 7. He actually penetrated her at 9, and he continued to penetrate her from 9 to 13 years old. And so when the mother first found out, she went to the church. She ended up moving to Grand Rapids. So the DeBarge family do not have a lot of great memories when it comes to living in Detroit. So that's why you will hear them the majority of the time say we're from Grand Rapids, instead of, even though they were born in Detroit. And a lot of them abusive years happened while they were in Detroit. So they were in between Detroit and Grand Rapids. And the preacher, so when she went to go move with her sister, she lets the preacher know what's going on. But then the dad ended up contacting the preacher talking to him or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Next thing you know, he ends up showing up to her sister's house. Now, the sister was very open about her not liking him. The grandmother, before she died, Ederling's mother, before she died, didn't like him. And she let it be known, because one time she cussed his ass out because he used to go off or whatever. And one time the mother stood up to him and cussed his motherfucking ass out, and he felt stupid. He pretty much backed down. And pretty much overall, he finally stopped abusing all of them when the uncles got tired and beat the fuck out of him. They almost beat him within an inch of his life, but that was years later. When they beat the fuck out of him, the uncle got tired. They was yelling, begging him not to kill him. And after that, they said that that's when the father stopped, as far as physically abusing the mom. He would still get upset, but he stopped putting his hands on her but the kids were like teenagers and stuff at that point. So much had went by, the damage was already done. So yeah, it's a lot when it comes to that. So like I said, I'm gonna end up changing. I'm gonna go ahead and put the musical T thumbnail up. I'm gonna change the title of this video, and we just gonna say part 1. So it's gonna be series of these videos coming by or whatever, with a lot of different facts that, you know, I'm finding out. So yeah, that's the gist of it. But yeah, the Bobby is the one who ended up telling telling Ederline, his mother, what happened, and she left, but then end up going back. And so Bunny was so scared, she didn't want to leave. So she ended up staying with her auntie for like 6 months. And then next thing you know, she forced Bunny to come back. And this was after she found out, and Bobby finally told her that the father had been, you know, molesting Bunny when she would go to church. He would always wait till she went to church, and then he would force her down in the basement. And then he, like I said, he would have sex with her. And he was doing it with her and Bobby or whatever. And, you know, yeah, it was a lot. But then Bunny ended up kind of like following in her mother's footsteps, because when she ended up getting married, before she got married, which she married her first husband fast, like how the mama married their father. Bunny had a daughter. Then she ended up marrying this other guy that was not the father. The husband that she ended up being with for a very long time, he tried to molest her younger sister Peaches, which is one of the twins, the last two of the DeBarge family that was born. The mother let her know what her sister had said. They were about to go to church. Bunny jumped on him, everything, made a whole scene at the damn church. She left him, but then ended up going back to her husband, just like her mother had did with their father. And then Bunny actually walked in, because they ended up having a daughter after that point. Bunny actually ended up walking in on her husband under her first daughter, that's not his child. She walked in on her husband sexually abusing her first daughter, and her daughter was 7 years old at the time. She beat him up, acted a fool, everything, but then she ended up going back. And she would end up being with him years after that. I think she was married to him for over 20 years. So, yeah. So that's why I said, y'all, it's going to be several parts to this musical T. Several parts or whatever. Okay, so, yeah, that's what's going on with that. Again, guys, I am now currently reading There'll Never Be by Thomas DeBarge. I am going to go ahead and upload the 4 chapters I've read. Y'all be honest in the comments and let me know what y'all think, and whether or not y'all want me to go ahead and continue to record myself reading this book or whatever and stuff. Each reading will get better, but I'm just letting you guys know what's going on. So this Hood Morning Elements then turn into an impromptu musical tea. Okay, guys? But other than that, I want you all to have a wonderful day. I'm about to go ahead and get my nephew ready for school, because he actually goes to school. So I have to drop him off. And then I got to set up Melvin for his virtual school, then set up to drop him off, and then go to work. So I have a lot to do. All right. So I love you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this impromptu episode of Musical Tea. And I'll also be keeping you updated on a lot of the other stuff that is going on. Okay, guys. All right. Love y'all. And excuse the background. You probably can't hear them because they loud. Okay. Bye, y'all.